Tensions in the Persian Gulf have escalated dramatically as Iran tightens its grip on the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical maritime choke points for energy transport. In recent days, Iranian forces struck multiple commercial vessels that attempted to pass through the waterway despite Tehran's warnings, signaling a new phase in the ongoing regional conflict and sending shockwaves through global energy markets. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow but strategically vital passage connecting the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea. Roughly 1/5 of the world's oil supply typically moves through this corridor. Since late February 2026, however, traffic through the strait has plunged as tensions between Iran, the United States, and Israel intensified following military strikes that triggered a broader regional confrontation. Iran's latest escalation came when two commercial vessels ignored Iranian warnings and attempted to transit the strait. Iranian forces responded with direct attacks. The ships targeted included the Israeli-owned Express Rome, sailing under a Liberian flag, and the container vessel Mary Nari. Iranian officials said both vessels had been warned not to cross the waterway before the strikes occurred. Rear Admiral Alireza Tangsiri, commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Naval Forces, delivered a blunt message to both shipping companies and the United States after the attacks. Rear Admiral Alireza Tangsiri said, "Were the ships assured of safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz? This should be asked of the crews of the vessels Express Rome and Mary Nari, who today, trusting in empty promises, ignored the warnings and intended to cross the strait but were caught." The Iranian commander also warned that ships passing through the strait must now obtain permission from Iran, reinforcing Tehran's claim that it effectively controls the waterway amid the ongoing conflict. Iranian military officials expanded on that warning, stating that vessels connected to the United States, Israel, or their allies would be treated as legitimate targets. According to Iranian statements, any ship transporting oil that benefits these countries could face attack. An Iranian military spokesman said, "We will not allow even a single liter of oil to pass through the Strait of Hormuz for the benefit of America and its friends." He continued with an even stronger warning directed at Washington and its allies. The spokesman added, "Any vessel that passes through the Strait of Hormuz for the benefit of the United States, the Zionists and their partners will be our legitimate target." The statements reflect Tehran's broader strategy in the escalating conflict to leverage its geographic control over the strait as a powerful economic weapon. The consequences for global shipping have been immediate. Several vessels have already been struck by projectiles in and around the strait. One of the most serious incidents involved the Thai-flagged bulk carrier Mary Nari, which caught fire after being hit. 20 crew members were evacuated to safety, but several seafarers were initially reported missing. The attacks form part of a wider pattern. Since the war began at the end of February, at least 14 ships have been damaged or attacked in the region. The escalating danger has caused commercial traffic to collapse, with many shipping companies refusing to send vessels through the waterway. Oil markets reacted immediately. Prices surged as traders feared prolonged disruption to global energy supplies. Analysts warn that if the strait remains effectively closed, the economic consequences could spread rapidly across the world economy. The conflict that triggered the crisis began after coordinated U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iranian targets earlier this year. The attacks prompted a wave of retaliatory missile and drone strikes by Iran against U.S. military bases and regional infrastructure. Iranian leaders say their actions in the Strait of Hormuz are part of that retaliation. In a series of statements, Iranian officials accused the United States and Israel of provoking the crisis and destabilizing the region. One Iranian commander delivered a harsh warning directed personally at Washington. He said, "You may start the war, but we will determine its end." Iran's rhetoric also included threats aimed at U.S. military installations in the Middle East. He warned, "Your vital centers and your bases, one after another, will burn in the fire you ignited and will burn again and again." Such statements underscore the depth of hostility between the sides and the potential for further escalation. In Washington, President Donald Trump has responded with strong rhetoric of his own, vowing that the United States will not allow Iran to choke off global energy supplies. President Donald Trump said when the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. The president has repeatedly emphasized that maintaining the free flow of oil through the strait is a strategic priority for the United States and its allies. He said, "I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply." However, the situation on the ground appears far more complicated than the public statements suggest. According to U.S. naval officials, escorting commercial tankers through the Strait of Hormuz during an active conflict would be extremely risky. The Navy has informed shipping companies that it cannot currently provide military escorts due to the high likelihood of attacks from Iranian missiles, drones, or naval mines. The challenge stems partly from geography. The Strait of Hormuz is narrow and lies directly next to Iran's southern coastline, giving Iranian forces numerous opportunities to launch attacks from land, sea, or air. Military analysts say Iran's arsenal of drones, missiles, mines, and fast attack boats makes the waterway particularly dangerous for commercial shipping during wartime. Even a small number of attacks can have a dramatic effect on global trade. Shipping companies often suspend operations entirely rather than risk losing vessels or crews in a conflict zone. That appears to be happening now. Ship tracking data shows that maritime traffic through the strait has plunged sharply, with some days recording almost no tanker crossings at all. Meanwhile, confusion within the U.S. government has added another layer of uncertainty. At one point, the U.S. Energy Secretary posted on social media claiming that a Navy vessel had successfully escorted a tanker through the strait. The post was later deleted after it could not be verified. The White House subsequently confirmed that no such escort had taken place. Iranian officials seized on the incident, accusing Washington of spreading misinformation and insisting that any attempt by the U.S. Navy to escort ships would be met with force. The Pentagon has already taken some military action in response to the crisis. U.S. forces have reportedly destroyed several Iranian mine-laying vessels near the strait as part of efforts to prevent the waterway from being blocked. Still, experts warn that securing the strait would require a massive and sustained naval operation, potentially involving multiple allied countries. Even then, success would not be guaranteed. Iran's ability to deploy mines, drones, and missile systems means that the waterway could remain hazardous for months if the conflict continues. The economic implications are enormous. Because such a large share of global oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz, any prolonged disruption could push energy prices sharply higher. Energy analysts say that the current spike in oil prices may only be the beginning if the conflict spreads or shipping remains restricted. Iranian officials themselves have hinted at that possibility, warning that continued fighting in the region could drive oil prices far higher. As tensions continue to rise, the Strait of Hormuz has become the focal point of one of the most dangerous geopolitical confrontations in the world. For decades, strategists have warned that conflict in this narrow waterway could trigger a global economic crisis. Now, with war already underway and ships under attack, that scenario is no longer theoretical. The world's energy supply lines run directly through the Strait of Hormuz, and for the moment, they remain under threat.